Welcome back to video number 2 on solving systems of equations using substitution, where we start to apply this to real-life application. Remembering, in real-life application, not only do we have to be able to read the situation, we then have to write the equations that go with the situation. And this time there'll be at least 2. And we're going to use the same variables so that we can make a system, and then we're going to solve using substitution. So let's go with our first one. It says two small pitchers and one large pitcher can hold 8 cups of water. One large pitcher minus one small pitcher constitutes 2 cups of water. How many cups of water can each pitcher hold? Well, the first thing we have to do is we have to define what our variables are going to represent. In this particular case, I'm going to say x and y because those are the easiest variables to work with. And I'm going to say that x represents the small pitcher. And I'm going to say that y represents the large. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to just watch me and then stop and write this down and copy it down when you're done. Being able to watch and listen first and then copying down by reading the problem and then copying down what we're doing will certainly go a lot further in helping you understand. If you're trying to listen, write, and watch all at the same time, you're going to have difficulties understanding, really will. But we will certainly do more examples in class than what we're doing here. All right, so now it says that, hey, 2 small pitchers and 1 large pitcher holds 8 cups. Well, there's our first equation right there. 2 small ones, that's 2x, plus 1 large one, well, that's y, can hold 8 cups. All right. It says 1 large pitcher minus 1 small pitcher constitutes 2 cups. So 1 large, that's y, minus a small, and that's going to give us 2 cups. So now we have our 2 equations, our system. And we're going to solve. Makes no difference which one we solve for. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take this negative x and move it over here and rewrite the equation y equals x plus 2. That just makes it real easy. I can take this x plus 2 and now I can put it right here and rewrite my 2 equations as 1, 2x plus the expression we just wrote, x plus 2, equals 8. Now when we combine like terms, I have 3x plus 2 equals 8. Subtracting 2 from both sides, 3x equals 6. Divide by 3, x equals 2. What does that tell us? That tells us that the small pitcher is 2 cups. Isn't it? I'll take that 2. I'm going to substitute it into either one of the equations. The easiest one is going to be the second one. And so I'm going to say y minus 2 equals 2. Adding 2 to both sides, y equals 4. What does that tell me? That the large is 4 cups. That easy. So the hardest part is reading and writing down the equations. Let's try it again. A test has 20 questions worth 100 points. The test consists of true-false questions worth 3 points each and multiple-choice questions worth 11 points each. How many multiple-choice questions are on the test? All right. First of all, that we know the whole test is worth 100 points. We know that there are 20 questions on the test. We know that there are true, false, and multiple-choice questions, with the true and false being worth 3 and the multiple choice being worth 11. So again, I'm gonna define my variables. X is gonna be my true false questions, and y will be my multiple choice questions. And I know that if I take the 2 and add them up, that's 20 questions. So the number of true false questions plus the multiple choice questions is equal to 20 questions, right? Okay, so We also know that the true-false questions are worth 3 points each. That's 3x, 3 for every one. And that the multiple choices are worth 11 points each. So we're going to add 11y, and we know the whole test is worth 100 points. So now we have our system right here, our system of equations. Of course, the easiest one to manipulate so we can substitute is to take this x and move it over, giving us as y equals negative x plus 20. We're going to substitute this in here. And when we do, we would have 3x plus 11 times that expression, negative x plus 20, equals 100. Right? Doing our distributive property, we would have 3x minus 11x, because 11 times a negative x is negative 11x. And 11 times 20 is 220, equals 100. Combining the like terms, we have negative 8x. I'm going to subtract my 220 from both sides. Negative 8x is equal to negative 120. When I divide by a negative 8, x is equal to 15. Well, x tells us how many true-false questions we have. So that's 15. But that doesn't answer the question for us. The question said, how many multiple choice questions are there? Well, the easiest one to substitute that into would be the first one, because we know 15 plus y is 20 questions on the test. We subtract 15 from both sides, y equals 5. So that means there are 5 multiple choice questions on the test. Moving on. The equations 5x plus 2y equals 48 and 3x plus 2y equals 32 represent the money collected from school concert ticket sales during 2 class periods. If x represents the cost for each adult ticket and y represents the cost for each student ticket, what is the cost for each adult ticket? Well, hey, this is awful nice. They already gave us the equations. So we have 5x plus 2y equals 48. We have 3x plus 2y equals 32. We know x is the adult and y is the student. We only need the adult. That's good. So let's solve for y. Makes no difference which equation we do it for. So I'm going to pick the second one. And I'm going to subtract the 3x from both sides. That gives me 2y equals negative 3x plus 32. Dividing by 2 every term. Y equals a negative 3 halves x plus 16. Well, of course, I take that expression and I'm going to substitute it in the first y. Right? And therefore, I would have 5x plus 2 times negative 3 halves x plus 16 is equal to 48. Of course, I got to solve. You know, it's a darn good thing we went through Unit 3 before we got here. So right here, I do the distributive property. I just bring down my 5x. Plus, well, 2 times a negative 3x. Well, 2 goes into 2 one time. Or you could say 2 times a negative 3 is negative 6. And negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So plus a negative 3x plus 32, because 2 times 16 equals 48. However you do it, you got to remember how to do our rational numbers. Combining like terms, a positive 5 and a negative 3 is 2x's. Plus 32, well, let's subtract that 32 right away. And so 2x is equal to 16. Divide by 2, x equals 8. What is the cost of each adult ticket? Each adult ticket is $8. X equals 8. Oh man, I can't even write an 8. X equals $8. $8 for an adult ticket. And you could figure out what we wanted for the student ticket if you wanted to, but it didn't ask that, so we're not going to go any further. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our quick write. Give it a shot. Do the best you can. Come to class ready to do this together, but you should have done something. You should have some equations written. And the quick write is, the admission fee for a small fair is $1.50 for children and $4 for adults. On a certain day, 2,200 people enter the fair and $5,050 is collected. How many children and how many adults attended? So, you might want to start off with X equals what? Children? And Y equals adults. And then from there, how many people entered? So you're going to add those two together. And then how much is it for each one? And how much money was made? There's the next one. I gave you a major clue. Of course, you need to come to class with questions. Be prepared to work hard. I told you, this is a challenging quarter in many aspects. So you got to be able to put forth that effort. Working aggressively, working with urgency, seeking understanding, not accepting the fact that you don't get it. Don't accept it. Come to class ready to know because you have an idea. We've read the stuff in class, you've watched the videos, you're coming to class tomorrow, and we're getting rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tomorrow.